Today I'm joined by Neil Sampson, the founding director of Solar Gates UK. Solar Gates UK is the leading manufacturer and installer of solar hybrid barriers and gates. So, hi Neil.
Morning, afternoon. Yeah, thanks for inviting me along. It's good to chat.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you very much for joining us today. So Neil, tell us a little bit more about Solar Gates UK.
How long have you got? So it's been an interesting journey. I've been doing this now for quite depressingly, probably 18 years, and it is nothing like what I thought it was going to be. 18 years ago, I thought I quite fancied the idea of working for myself because I'd worked for other people and I knew I wasn't very good at that because I don't like being told what to do, fundamentally. So there's only one way out, and that's to do it for yourself. So 18 years ago, I thought I could have a punt at selling electric gate kits to people with big houses and long driveways. And, you know, here's a box and there's the instructions, you do it. And actually we sold went to the Kent County show that year and sold a few. And what I found out about people with big houses and long driveways is they don't do screwdrivers on Saturday morning. That is not their thing. So I became what was known now in the trade as an accidental installer. So sold a few, and actually the first one was a school because they had a little gate at the end of a 200-meter alleyway that needed to be opened and closed for the new nursery that was being put in the field of the secondary school. Okay. And yeah, they had a bill for putting out a power cable, which was into 5 figures, and we could do the whole thing on solar power for less than that. So that was my first job. And it's just grown from there. After a few months, I realized I had more jobs than I could handle. So I needed a bloke. Yeah. So a good friend of mine joined me, and yeah, it's just grown gently, year on year from that to what it is today, because I need to skip out a massive bit in the middle.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm now running a team of about 20-25 people. We have 3 distributors across the world, and we have developed and innovated a range of mobile solar barriers that brought us into the realms of working with highways and railways and HS2, because we offer a product that very few people offer. And with that comes all the challenges of having a distribution and service support network across this country, supporting distributors in Australia, New Zealand, Saudi. And so it's been an interesting journey, from what I thought was going to be just me in a van and a spade and a little bit of a relaxed period. It's been an interesting time, but I had, the business plan to this never existed. It was just taking opportunities as we saw them, innovating as we saw ideas and gaps in the market, and having the balls to try.
Yeah. Great. Look, thank you for that. Thank you for that background, Neil. Let's just delve into the business plan part of it, because there's mixed reviews about sort of business plans. Some people are big advocates of, got to have a business plan, know where you're going, know what you want to achieve, plan on how you're going to get there. Other people are very much, oh well, look, let's just see how it goes. Let's just grow the business. Let's just go for it. Now that you've had the experience, and from what you said there, your experience was without having a business plan, whether that was by choice or not. But what's your view on business plans, planning in general?
2 totally opposing views on a business plan or a strategic budget. On the one hand, they're absolutely necessary. I had an objective in my head 18 years ago, and it was my objective for me. Mm-hmm. And that is still true. Still don't think I've quite achieved it. But that has remained true. What is my end point of this? Maybe what's my end plan? I want to do something, but for how long? And at what point will I think it's an opportunity to say, I've done that, and now it's time to move on? Okay. So that remains true, and that's very vague, I know. The day-to-day or month-to-month or year-to-year business plan, cash flow plan, financial budget, and sort of financial breakdown and expectations, I absolutely say we totally need, and as the business has got bigger, the bigger you get, the harder you fall.
Yeah.
So it is essential. But also I often look over to the bookshelf that you can't see and grab the entire works of William Shakespeare and say, that's a nice story too, because a budget is a little bit of a story, something to work towards. But we in our particular industry don't know what government we're going to have next month, let alone whether they're going to be supporting the Road Infrastructure 3 strategy that was published last year, or whether HS2 is going to get curtailed anymore, or whether house builders are going to suddenly get a shot in the vein. I don't know. So we need a strategic plan, of course, and it needs to be protective of our staff and our cash flow and our general ability to continue operating. But it also needs to be open and vague enough to allow us to veer off in a direction that we hadn't planned.
Yeah, I like. I think that's a very sensible, view, because you're right. None of us have got a crystal ball. None of us know what's going to happen in the future. But the way I always look at this, Neil, is that, generals, when they go into battle, they have a plan, but they don't know how the enemy's going to react or what's going to happen. So you have to be flexible enough to adapt that. We've got the Euros going on at the moment. Every team will go into each game with a plan. And I'm sure their plan won't be to go 1-0 down, but they may do, in which case they need to be flexible with their plan to be able to change and adapt it. So I think the way you've described that is very relevant. So no, thank you for sharing that. So you said 18 years ago, you started out, and you said you started out because you wanted to have your own business. You wanted to. Why was that? Why did you want to have your own business? Was it financial? Was it control? Was it to have an accomplishment of having it? What drove you to say, no, actually, I want to have my own business?
I guess it's a mindset that people have. It's probably a mindset that almost everybody has. But there are more people who need security more than they need risk.
Okay.
Excuse me 1 second. Let's make that not ring. So it was my sort of awareness that, through my career, I had wandered into various different avenues, but sales was something I had accidentally found as a job offer, and I quite liked it. What I liked about it was the autonomy and the fact that providing I do what I'm asked, they don't care. And that I began to almost feel that benefit of working for myself, because it's absolutely twofold. It comes with loads of flexibility and my own expense account that I had to justify myself, but it also comes with being probably available 24/7. And as a young business with not many staff, or even one staff, I was initially, for those first 9 months, I was the man who made the sale, did the survey, dug the hole, asked for the check, wrote the invoice, went back next month when it needed repairing, and I did all of those things. And you have to therefore be available. I would work my office hours after I've been out in the field all day. It's a hard graft, but it actually comes with rewards. I don't proclaim to be the Bill Gates Foundation here, but we pay the bills. So it's a mindset of risk. And potentially that mindset of risk isn't always appreciated by all employers. So I think there comes a point where I was aware that I'm probably not very employable anymore, because I can create a plan and a vision, and I can take risks and justify them, and also admit when I'm wrong and backtrack and do all the things that are necessary to make a success of something. And I wasn't that bothered about the certainty of my paycheck in my bank account on the 29th every month. It bothers me, of course, but not so much that I couldn't take the leap. And over the years, I've actually helped. I've had some good engineers that have come through Solar Gates, and I've helped them do the same. I give to them the same bits of advice. When I first told the guy I was working for that I wanted to start my business, this guy called Andy. It was amazing. He's dead now, but he said, so 3 things happened. I said, Andy, I want to start my own business. I was working as a salesman for him. He said, okay, that's great. I'm going to give you 3 things right now. 1, you're P45. 2, I'm going to give you 6 months consultancy, 2 days a week. I'll tell you now, if you don't commit to your business will not commit to you. And the other bit of advice he gave me, which I didn't take and I wish I had, he said, if you're planning on buying a house, I suggest you do it today. Or if you're planning on buying a house any time in the next 5 or 6 years, do it today. I didn't, and he was right. It took me some years before a bank would entertain a set of young trader accounts. But yeah, committing to my business in the singular sense, he was absolutely right. So, and I've helped some engineers do that. You know, I've had some good people work here who are clearly, you know, the traveling engineers in particular, they're out and about, they have those sort of same, yes, they've got their job to do, but they can also run their own calendar, and, you know, they do a lot of stuff on their own, and they're very they can adapt and improvise because they have to. And I've helped a few guys, you know, leave here and set up their own business, and, you know, probably help the right ones, because although they've become excellent subcontractors for a bit, they're good engineers, and therefore their businesses fly, and then they're never available as subcontractors again. But that's great, and it's nice to be able to do that. You know, there's been some amazing stories of the people who have, you know, I've probably employed nearly 100 people over the years.
There's great satisfaction in that, isn't there? When you know that you've played a part, you know, how big or small that part is in somebody's sort of, you know, shaping somebody's future. And let's delve down into that a little bit, Neil, because I know that, you know, the people that you generally employ is fairly unique. And to put it in your words, your team is a team of misfits, recovering addicts, ex-offenders, divorcees, refugees, screw-ups, and the not yets. So tell us a bit more about why you made that decision to employ those type of people.
It was another thing that wasn't really a decision.
Okay.
I've got quite a, you know, I have a very broad brush experience of people and life, and, you know, maybe some links into some of those categories that you spoke about, but it wasn't a natural decision. I take the view that from a business point of view, I need good staff. That's all. Their background, their history, not relevant. Are you a good member of staff? Do you want this job? And it has led, you know, it was an accidental sort of venture, but it's, you know, it's led to where we are now, which is, you know, around about a third of this team are either ex-addicts, ex-convicts. And I said about the, you know, the sort of many people I've employed over the years, you know, some have gone on to do some amazing things. Yeah. And some are dead. And that when I'm talking about addiction in particular, that has to sometimes be someone's path. And, you know, I'm not there as a business owner. I'm not here as a charity. I need to give people a route out. They don't want it. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's necessary to let someone find their rock bottom. And if that rock bottom is death, that has to be their rock bottom. And we have sent, you know, so that sort of working with people, of course, if I work with people who have a backstory, the backstory can be anything. Yeah. The reason I say the not yet is because, well, 65% of the team just haven't been caught yet. We don't, you know, there's a lovely person on our team at the moment who's doing a sentence for death by dangerous driving. She currently working, she's in prison, comes on day release. She arrived in the morning, she goes home in the evening. I know where she lives. She never woke up that day wanting to do what ended up happening that day. It was an accident. She's serving time for that accident. It's a part of her life she is looking forward to putting behind her. And so, and the same would be true with someone who's reached their bottom with an addiction story. Everyone in that sort of category has seen a lot of life. They also have a lifetime of work experience and life experience. And if that can be nurtured and kept, the benefits of us being an employer who's happy to work with that and overlook that generally lead us to having a very loyal workforce and a higher retention rate. You know, if I put an advert in the paper, I don't know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
If I talk to someone who's serving time and they look like the sort of person who wants to move forward from that point, I've got a better idea of what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street. You know, it's by no means an altruistic thing that we do just because that's what we do. It is a two-way street, and I've got a loyal, hard-working workforce and a relatively low retention. And so that journey has led us, you know, I now sit as a chairman for one of the employment advisory boards with His Majesty's Prison Service.
Yeah.
And actually 2 or 3 years ago, we hosted in Kent, relatively accidentally, but, you know, it was an opportunity that we grabbed, but we ended up hosting the second National Employment Conference in the UK, which was a government white paper. It was headed by James Timpson at the time from the Timpson Foundation.
Yeah.
Just to roll out, you know, to try to introduce employers to the prison service.
Okay.
You know, there's a good workforce leaving jails, and there's a bunch of employers who struggle to find employees.
So what would you say? Because look, you know, having a team in a business in itself can be challenging. You know, running a team, leading a team, managing a team, motivating a team, etc. If I was to sort of say to you, what would you say the keys are to creating a great team? What would spring to mind? What would come to your mind?
Being honest about what I want.
Okay.
I want to work their arse off. Being generous about what we give, and being open-minded to potentially anybody.
Okay.
That last one is the hardest one to handle. And so when it, you know, the areas, you know, conviction and addiction, in particular, yes, it's something I have experience and I've gained experience. Generally, with an addict, I would look for at least 3 years of recovery.
Right.
Because that's how long it takes. But it's a lifetime's job for
Yeah.
that. With a convict, it's potentially slightly easier, but you know, if anyone's interested in working with the prison service, it's much simpler than you think. Phone a local prison, go and meet their employment advisor, interview some people, give them your job description. They will give you some candidates. If it's release on temporary license, day release, that's awesome, because they will turn up at your place of work and they will leave, and there's a bit more paperwork involved, but it is what it is. Or working with someone so that they are ready for employment upon release.
Yeah.
The government are there to help because they know it's better for UK PLC if people don't go back to jail, and having a job and a house and a decent probation officer are all part of those journeys. So it's much easier than you think. Phone a local prison, meet their employment. It's like that. You will interview them, you'll offer a contract of employment. It's all exactly as you would expect, except if they're on release on temporary license, you know where they live.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, right, great. Well, look, I think, like, you know, commendable anyway. What you're doing. So well, you know, well done on that. So, and thanks for sharing that. So, what would you say, as over your 18 years as a business owner, what would you say is the biggest challenge that you've faced?
It will actually be the internal customers, staff.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the hardest team, but it's the most important team because I can find as many external customers as I want. That's on us. You know, the more marketing you do, the more customers you'll find. But if we don't deliver an outstanding product and service and aftercare, they ain't coming back. Yeah. And therefore, I need a team who are willing, hopefully grateful. I can't force that on people, but you can certainly give all the parameters that might make it a bit more available to them. And a team that gets on, because fundamentally, you know, no one lies on their deathbed wishing they'd gone to the office a bit more. No. Yeah. And we spend as much time with the people we spend probably more time with the people at work than we do with our families. So it's important that we can get on. Yeah. And that's why, you know, we have that strapline, the misfits who fit. I don't care about your background. You can be as misfit as you like, but you have to fit our culture.
Yeah.
And there are times if the culture starts to go wrong, if resentments are building, if the snipiness is building up in a team, that needs to be stopped quickly. Treat it like a cancer, cut it out quickly. And if that means somebody has to leave, I will help them leave. I'll say this to people, if you don't like this, I'll help you leave.
Yeah, I think sometimes it is addressing those things head on, because if it's not right for you, it's generally not right for them, and then it's helping them to move on to find something else that is right for them. It's not good for anyone having somebody in a business that doesn't fit, as you put it. So, okay, and how would you describe you mentioned culture there, Neil? How would you describe the culture within your business?
Fun, fair, and hardworking. The brand values should sum it up. We're innovative, capable, passionate, and compassionate.
Okay.
And we try to remember those. We try to hold those. And the last two, passionate and compassionate, are probably the hardest ones. They're the ones that almost contradict one another. Compassion within a business sense is maybe not necessarily viewed as the right way to go, but my experience is that it is important.
Yeah.
And it comes with, and then there's a double-edged sword. If I'm talking about a particular individual, if being compassionate for their needs is going to be detrimental to the rest of the team, well, that's hard, because I need to be compassionate to the whole team as well. We're currently funding one ex-employee through residential rehab.
Okay.
He needed it. He asked for it. That was the key. He got to his rock bottom. It doesn't work anymore because that wasn't going to be a possibility. But he may work for us again. Yeah. On that basis, my cash flow write-off is effectively, it's a similar cost to me phoning a recruitment consultant to putting a good person through treatment, right, and ending up with potentially a good member of staff. This is something we do occasionally. It's very contracted. There's some strong stipulations in the future upon a potential re-employment. And I say potential because this particular person's journey has just started. But when somebody asks, they are probably 95% of the way there.
Good. Like it. Is that, asking for help. I think that's always, whether that's connected to rehabilitation or anything like that, actually asking for help is something we often find quite challenging, but actually really important, even as business owners. I think sometimes when we're business owners, we feel as though we're expected to know everything. Why? We're never really taught how to be business owners. No. So it's important to ask for help from, whether it be from other business owners, whether it be from mentors or coaches, whoever it is, just ask for that help, ask for other people in the industry. Similar sort of thing. Asking for help is really important. And what would you say your biggest learning since you've been in business has been?
It wasn't as easy as I thought.
Okay.
I learned that, and I still learn that, and I still need to apply that almost every day. Probably learning that the team and management of the team is as big a part of the running your own business conundrum as any other part. Because as I said earlier, without them, I have nothing. Without the customers, obviously the staff have nothing to do, but they are the one that create probably the greatest amount of frustration and the greatest amount of joy. But without a staff team who get it and get each other, we don't have much to offer the outside world. It's
I often think that, well, if we don't have a team, we don't have a business. We might be self-employed, but we don't actually have a business. It's the team that actually create the business. And actually, as business owners, one of our biggest roles is managing, leading that team, recruiting the team. So yeah, great learning. Thank you.
I suppose the other learn on that, to add something I hadn't tweaked, and it took a long time to get, and it took a long time to change, is that until I have no position left in the business has no value. And that was, that's been years worth of work. And sometimes it's quite difficult it's always, it's lonely at the top anyway, but to know that my direction is to have no value left for me, it is, sometimes difficult to take, but it's essential. If I believe that this business has a value, it needs to operate entirely without me. Yeah,
absolutely. Share that philosophy. And one of the quotes that we use is, a successful business is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. Yeah. That's a truly successful business, when it can work without you. And you hit the nail on the head there, Neil. Businesses that work without the business owner are more valuable than those that require the business owner to work in them. So yeah, again, great point to share. Thank you for sharing that. And look, one more question that I like to ask everybody that comes onto this is this: what's the best advice that you would give an 18-year-old you?
It might not be easy, but it's probably simple. Just give it a go.
Okay. It might not be easy, but it's probably simple. Just give it a go. Okay. Like it. Well, look, Neil, thank you very much for joining us today. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and sharing about your business and also your journey. So thank you very much.
Simon, thanks for the invite.